All right, people, it's quarterfinal time in Monte Carlo, and it's the next gen quarterfinals that we're getting used to now in the Masters 1000s series events. It's almost as close as we've been to post Big Three life, except they're still winning them Grand Slams when they come around. But this isn't a Grand Slam. This is the Rolex Monte Carlo Masters, and we got 8 great quarterfinalists who have been playing super well on these clay courts. So let's get into the matchups quickly and talk about my predictions for who we're going to see in the semifinals. Here's the slice. So as I think about this tournament, and especially now that Novak Djokovic is out, to me, the overarching story of where the top of the men's game is at is what is Stefanos, Tsitsipas, and Alexander Zverev going to do with the opportunity now with Djokovic out? Not that they would have felt that threatened before, possibly. What are they going to do with this? Because I talked about it before, but neither of them have had great seasons, especially Zverev. It's been very frustrating for him. When I was in Monte Carlo, I could see that frustration being expressed on the practice court. He'd had like a over 3-hour practice, wasn't happy with where his game was at, and hasn't been happy with the results, obviously, all year. And Tsitsipas as well had a bit of a frustrating 2022 so far. Now Tsitsipas is on his best surface, and Zverev also feels very confident on clay. So to me, one of these two guys needs to win this tournament, or else they are going to seriously be doubting themselves and feeling like they're slipping behind because they keep getting these opportunities without, Nadal or Djokovic being at their top on a clay tournament with them. And if they don't take them, what are they doing? So, quick note about our sponsor of the show, Go Sport. Premium tennis bags, the best tennis bags on the market. People have been buying them. People have been loving them. You can get 10% off in the link below. Thanks to Go Sport for supporting our show. And also shout out to Europass. Europass is where you can join us and get extra videos from me about my behind the scenes at tournaments, like talking to Djokovic's coaches, etc. And it's just a way to support me on my travels through here in Europe, because if you didn't know, we're in Switzerland. This is the European slice. So, little late night look here at the awesome quarterfinals we have. These guys are all killers, and I've seen each of them play so far this week on the clay, and it's kind of obvious after watching them why they're in the quarterfinals, except for one maybe. And let's start with him. On the top, we have Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina, who took out Novak Djokovic, versus Taylor Fritz. Taylor Fritz in his first match almost went out to like a guy ranked from Monaco who got a wild card, which, people scream corruption. He almost went out to him, and he looked like a, fish out of water on the clay, but now he's progressed. And he's taken out Korda, who took out Alcaraz. He's taken out Cilic. So he's obviously found his form, and he just won Miami. So he's won Indian Wells. So he's a big Masters 1000 champ now, and thinks he's going to come in here and win Monte Carlo Rolex Masters. Alejandro Davidovich-Fokina, that's a tough matchup. ADF, as I'm going to pronounce him now, has won their only previous matchup. That was back on clay in Estoril back in 2019. So obviously Fritz is progressed higher, but I still think that ADF might be the more favored player in this matchup, and I'm going to go with ADF as a prediction because of the level I saw, the confidence he's got to take from that win over Djokovic. I think he's got it, although Fritz's big game, if it's like no win, perfect conditions, I think Fritz, maybe that tips the scales the other way, but gut is going with ADF, even though, I think it could be a very tight tussle. Next matchup on this top half, which is a lot more open than the bottom half, may I add, Grigor Dimitrov versus Hubert Hurkacz. Now, good to see Grigor playing some good tennis. When I was watching him earlier this week in practice, he didn't look that good. It was a windy day in practice, so I think all the players were just annoyed that they were practicing probably. But Grigor's in the quarterfinals against Hubert Hurkacz. Hubert Hurkacz, this is his first ever quarterfinal on clay, as he noted on his Instagram. So I'm going to lean Dimitrov as well in this one because he's a experienced player. I feel like almost experienced players, just clay allows more creativity, and a guy like Dimitrov has that in depths. So I'm going to take Dimitrov over Hurkacz based on the fact that it is Hurkacz's first quarterfinal, and I think Dimitrov, after the wins he's had, has been playing super good, and he just beat Ruud, and he also took out Lajovic earlier, a couple of great clay court players. So I'm leaning Dimitrov as well on the top half. Now we get into the bottom half where it's more cliche of what the type of players we would see in these quarterfinals. We got Schwartzman versus Tsitsipas, and then Sinner versus Zverev. Schwartzman, Tsitsipas. I'm taking Tsitsipas. I think he's a man on a mission to defend his title here. He's also, I would say, the favorite. I thought he was the favorite at the beginning of the tournament, and to me, there's just Tsitsipas has to have a pretty bad day to lose to Schwartzman on these kind of quicker live courts here, Monte Carlo. That's just my thoughts. No disrespect, Diego. We love you, El Pico. Jannik Sinner, Zverev, interesting matchup because they have similar game styles, right? Like they both have great forehands and backhands, and they like to slug it away from the baseline. I like Sinner's game more than Zverev's at this point because I think he's like more willing to come forward and chop it up and be more aggressive. Basically, he's more aggressive than Zverev, and Zverev. It's just, I don't know. It's so hard. Like when he's playing well on a fast hard court, he's the best player in the world almost. And then he can do really well on clay, but it's hard to like bank on him. And from what I saw, like I saw him smashing his racket in practice. He wasn't having a good time, but he's in the quarterfinals here. Although it would be like a huge shock if he wasn't in the quarterfinals. But I'm leaning Zverev, but only slightly because Sinner was struggling. He struggled against Rublev, which is obviously it's an upset for him to beat Rublev, but looked like he was struggling a bit physically. So Zverev does look pretty fresh physically because he hasn't been playing that much because he's been losing. So I'm taking Zverev over Sinner. So my predictions are Davidovich, Fokina, Dimitrov, Tsitsipas, and Zverev. That'd be pretty crazy to have ADF and Dimitrov on the top, and then Tsitsipas and Zverev on the bottom. Again, though, Tsitsipas or Zverev both want to win this title big time because they're feeling like they're just missing out on opportunities if they don't. So I think that might add pressure to them. Maybe they'll lose in the quarterfinals, but I got both of them winning their quarterfinal matchups, and then we'll see. We'll chop it up in the semifinal previews, and we'll see where we're at. But let me know your guys' previews. What do you think this tournament's been like as far as like a young guy expose with Djokovic out? It's been a lot of great tennis, I'll tell you that. But the seeds have gotten hammered. If you didn't see that on the top half, it is wide open. So, anyways, there's the slice on the Monte Carlo 2022 quarterfinals. Let me know your thoughts, and make sure you subscribe and like the video, and join our channel and our Patreon for Europass. We will see you over there.